From the nation's capital, this is the Fly Fishing Consultant Podcast with your host, Rob Snowhite.
Thank you for downloading the Fly Fishing Consultant Podcast. This is Series 2, Episode 51. I'm your host, Rob Snowhite, and yes, that is my real last name. And yes, I get asked every day. It's Steelhead season, folks, and there's one thing on my mind, Steelhead. We've got at least one trip planned right now for the Great Lakes, and I know there's a lot of people out there that want to get into steelhead fishing, so I thought I'd bring back Art Noglak, the fishing manager from the Orvis store in Tysons, Virginia, to have him go over how to outfit you, the listener, for steelhead fishing. So we're going to sit back on the back porch. We're going to have a shout out from my neighbor Donovan from next door, sort of like Wilson, but you can see him. And if you want to have a drinking game during this podcast, if you're of age, have a sip every time we hear one of Art's laughs. We'll see how you do. Hope you enjoy this one, everybody. It's about 2 hours long, chock full of information. All right, let's get this started. We are out here on the back patio, the back lanai, if you will, with Art. Art, you want to introduce yourself again? It's been a little bit over a year since we last spoke.
My name's Art Noglak. I am the fishing manager at the Orvis Company store in Tysons Corner, Virginia. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, and spent most of my life fishing for steelhead in the Great Lakes.
And you got the steelhead bug up there. Steelhead fever?
Yeah, definitely. At a pretty young age, too. In fact, I think the first fish I ever caught on a fly rod was a steelhead.
I'll spoil you.
Yeah.
How long has it been since you last steelhead fished?
I went last March.
Okay.
And I'll probably go again this March.
You can get off in November, come up with us. We got a spare bed for a couple nights.
You going up to the Salmon?
Salmon, yeah.
Old Slammin' River.
Salmon River on the Trestle Pool Lodge.
Yeah.
November, election week.
Oh, that's good. You get away from that nonsense.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so we're going to talk about this podcast. Let's say you're listening, you've been a bass fisherman, or you fish for small stream trout or bluegill, and all of a sudden you want to change over and try your luck with steelhead on the Great Lakes, or maybe you're in the Pacific Northwest. We got listeners all over. I want Art to tell us what kind of gear a novice steelhead angler would need, regardless if they already have like some, small stream trout stuff, or they live in Charleston and they fish for redfish. They might have some gear. We're going to try and run through what you need and sort of the dichotomy of let's do it on a budget, which is most of us, versus let's say you just won the lottery and you don't have time to go to Kamchatka, but you got time to go up to Lake Erie or Lake Ontario or Lake Michigan. So if money was no option versus if we're doing this on a budget.
I think if you're doing it on a budget, it's a great time in fly fishing to purchase gear. All sorts of manufacturers have excellent rods that are rods and reels that are under $200, so you can get like Orvis has a Clearwater rod with a 25-year warranty that's in the $200 range.
That's what I fish.
Yeah, TFO has an excellent choice in that price range as well. As well as most manufacturers that I've seen, you can usually get a quality rod with a warranty. I think that's the most important thing.
And
is
all
is
rods
warranty.
catch fish.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not you can have a Ferrari and you could have a Hyundai. Both get you to point A and B, but one might do it in a little more bells and whistles, but they both do what they're made to do.
Yeah, no, most certainly. You can spend a lot of money on this sport, and I have a lot of nice rods, that were very expensive and top of the line, as well as reels. But I have a lot of great, mid-price point and entry-level things that work just as good and catch just as many fish. So I think that you should just buy the best that you can afford.
And you're going to go with the 7-weight for the rod?
Yeah. I really think that a 9 or 10 foot 7-weight rod is really the best choice that you can have for steelhead fishing. Or an 8, 7 or 8.
And those rods you can use back at home, not just like you don't need an 11-foot rod because you might not be able to fish that back.
Right. Yeah. I think for versatility reasons, like if I was going to buy, if I was a saltwater angler and all I had was 9 weights and 10 weights and 8 weights, I might buy a 9-foot 7-weight as opposed to a 10-footer. 10-footer is probably ideal for steelhead fishing. Not a lot of people realize that only 1 foot in your rod translates into a lot of feet on the other end when you pick that line up to mend it. And it's anytime you're doing any sort of indicator fishing or if you're nymphing, fishing subsurface, the length of the rod and the longer the rod really gives you a pretty good advantage for mending. So I definitely think that a 7-weight is really the best, and then you can also use that 7-weight for a lot of other things. That makes a great streamer rod for bigger trout. It makes a small bonefish rod. It's a good rod for the beach.
Carp.
Yeah, it's a great carp rod.
So I like my rods with a hook keep on them. Orvis says they won't put a hook keep on their 6 and saltwaters up because it gets in the way if you shoot your line.
Yeah. I think it does. The truth is I have one of my favorite rods that it wasn't my first steelhead rod, but it was the first really nice steelhead rod I bought was a Sage Z-Axis. And it's got a hook keep on it. And it's a 10-foot 7-weight. And I love that rod. But when I shoot the line, it gets caught on that hook keep like all the time. I can see it happen.
They need to go back. Remember the nasty Vortex reel?
Yeah.
It had a little loop on the reel for your hook on the foot.
Yeah.
Maybe
I do the
wrap.
Yeah, I wrap it around the back side of the reel underneath the butt of the rod, and I come up to the stripping guide and hook it up there.
Do you do it in the stripping guide or on the metal pieces that hold it?
On the metal pieces that hold it.
Right. So people think that you can nick your guide.
Yeah, I don't know if it's true, but I've always thought that
why not?
Why not? Why risk it? So I hook it in the little metal piece.
What about when it's below freezing? You have a method for de-icing those rod guides?
Chapstick is what I usually put on. So
cherry, regular menthol.
Yeah, I don't know that it matters. But usually I think I just buy the old regular. But that's what I'll do. I'll take, if the conditions are cold, I'll take some chapstick and I'll rub it on the snake guides and the stripping guides, and I'll apply it pretty good. And sometimes I'll even rub it on the leader and on the fly as well.
That is one benefit of the higher end Orvis rods is the recoils. Mm-hmm. You just pop them back with your thumb and the ice just snaps off.
No, absolutely, it's good.
400 extra bucks versus 89-cent chapstick. You can take your pick.
Yeah.
When I hear cherry chapstick, it always makes me think of Katy Perry. she kissed that girl.
Yeah, right.
Now, reel. Let's talk. Some of the big, the bigger rods. People like to have a click and paw, versus I like a solid. I want to stop my fish. I don't want my hand near it. I don't want to get my knuckles busted. But what would you suggest for reels?
Well, I think that a large arbor reel is important. I think that a steelhead will often. Steelhead will often run. Rarely do they run into your backing. I can count on one hand how many steelhead have ever taken me into the backing, and I've caught them from, a few pounds all the way up to 20-pound-ish range or close to 20-pound range. I think I've had a couple occasions where they've gotten into my backing. It's usually because of a mistake that I made. So they run, and usually they'll get 30, 40 feet, maybe 50 feet. Very rarely do I ever get them more than 50 feet away from me.
Just the anatomy of the hole, they can't go from like
right
one spot to the next.
Yeah, exactly. But what they do tend to do is they'll run out initially, and then they'll come back toward you. And when they're coming back toward you, it's very difficult sometimes to keep tension. A really good steelhead angler, you always know when you see an experienced steelhead angler, because as soon as they hook up on a fish, they immediately run up onto the bank. So they get out of the water, they're immediately on the bank. And the reason is they realize that at any time that steelhead could run back towards them, and they want the ability to be able to back up or move upstream or downstream and use their feet to their advantage. But a large rubber reel will allow you to pick up line with less revolutions per second than a smaller one. So I do think it's important to have that. I don't think that I can strip most steelhead in, if you know how to play the fish correctly and you know how to apply sideways pressure on the fish in order to time out. You've seen my bleach bottle thing.
I got the spots on my pants yesterday.
I think you can actually strip those fish in pretty easily. Especially when they're coming at you. And that's one thing that I see a lot of lost steelhead because the fish swims towards the fish swims towards the angler, and they lose tension, because so they're faced with, they need to either move their body backwards to continue to keep tension, or they need to switch from reeling to stripping, because obviously you can strip faster than you can reel. So I think the reel's important, but just like most freshwater fish, I think its major purpose is holding a line.
Right. So let's talk about actual reel. So people may not know, like cast versus machined, sealed versus non-sealed drag.
Yeah.
You have to worry about, like, if you want to go over those and then the benefits of each.
Yeah. So machine reels are just a little bit. Machine reels are just a little bit nicer.
Hold on. That's not it. We're podcasting, D.
Podcasting?
You want to be on the podcast?
Negative.
All right.
Thank you, though.
Right on.
Don't want my face up in the place.
No, it's all audio.
Oh, word?
You can come by later. We're talking steelhead.
Okay.
He doesn't know what steelhead are.
That's all right.
He's a Cowboys fan.
Cowboys fan.
What's good, though?
All right, man.
I'll get at you.
Right on. All right, so reels.
So reels. So cast versus machine. Machine just a much better quality. Just like anything else that's machine as opposed to cast. Sealed versus unsealed. Sealed drags are obviously better. If you have a sealed drag system, there's less of a chance of grime and grit and ice and dirt and salt and everything else getting inside the bearings or the tungsten plates or however the particular reel is designed. So I really do like sealed drags. And there's no or very little maintenance typically on sealed drag reels, where ones that are have exposed drags will a lot of times you have to clean them out because they collect a lot of debris. Lots of manufacturers have really awesome sealed drag reels now that are inexpensive. The Orvis Hydros reel is the new one out, just over $200 in like a size 4 is what you would use for a 7 or an 8 weight rod. That's an awesome sealed drag reel. What are some other manufacturers that have?
I don't even know
in that price range, but they're out there.
Yeah.
That's a really good mid price point, sealed drag system, I think. But again, I would put my money in the rod over the reel in steelhead fishing, to be honest. I would rather have a better rod than a better reel still. And that's just pretty much any freshwater for me.
Now let's talk about the lines. What are we going to throw on these? We're doing any technical lines, weight forward. What if someone shows up and they're a red fisherman and they want to bring their redfish lines?
Yeah, they're usually it's a weight forward floating line for most all steelhead fishing that I've seen on the Great Lakes and even in the Pacific Northwest. The weight forward floating line is real versatile because, you have the ability to fish streamers, you have the ability to fish nymphs on it. You can also do dry flies. And if you need to get a fly down further, you can add things like, poly leaders or, sink tips and things. I think that there are some great custom steelhead tapers out there that I've seen. Usually they're a little bit easier to mend. Usually their function is more for, indicator fishing and dead drifting flies. But I think a weight forward, your standard weight forward floating line works great. I wouldn't recommend the saltwater lines out there. I think that typically the conditions are too cold, and those lines become extremely rigid in those colder conditions most of the time. So I would stick with freshwater or cold water lines.
Do you ever throw like Scandies versus Skagits?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm more of a Skagit fan on the Great Lakes, and typically the reason is most of the steelhead are at the bottom. As you know from steelhead fishing, typically you're trying to get the fly down in the water column and present it, right in front of where those fish are holding. And typically it's just the hydraulics at the bottom of the stream are a little bit softer and easier on the fish than they are in the top of the water column where the water's moving faster, so that's where they like to hold. So usually you're throwing, I will put on anywhere from 8 to 10 feet of T11.
What's T11 for the kids? It's not like the 11th Terminator movie.
No, it's like a
tungsten?
Yeah, tungsten coated Rio. I think that's Rio's. You know what? Actually, it's not. I just realized that Scientific Angler also uses that T. Yeah, I think it's just on a different scale. So I think it's a unit of measurement amongst different manufacturers, but each. I think it goes like T8 through T20. I think something like that.
Whew.
Everything in between.
Heavy stuff.
Yeah, T20 being the heaviest, and then they have like in inches per second that they sink. And then typically like the longer the tip that you make, the further down you can get it because there's more weight, or the faster that it'll get down, or quicker it'll get down for you. For steelhead fishing in the Great Lakes, I'm typically, usually using, T8, T10, T11, T12, usually not anything heavier than that. However, there are some places where, I fished the Muskegon River in Michigan a couple times, and we did use some bigger rods with some T20. So there are some places where you can do that. I usually don't use those on single hand rods though. I think the poly leader is a better option. So a poly leader would be it's a leader that sinks, that is easier to cast on a single hand line and rod than it would be the T material. I feel like the T material is designed and is expected to be used with spay systems, which have the lines have more mass to help move the heavier. Right. The heavier line.
All right.
I like Skagit. I feel like the Skagit turns over the heavier flies and the heavier sinking lines a lot easier. It requires smaller D loops.
Do you need split shot, or it takes care of it using the sinking line?
Usually with a floating Skagit head and a section of that T material, if you match it properly to the water that you're fishing, there would be no split shot. Just a short, maybe like a 18 to 24 inch section of 0x or 13 to 16 pound fluorocarbon tippet.
Yeah, so let's talk leaders.
Yeah, okay.
Let's went into that. Build your own versus buying pre-made.
I usually buy pre-made Steelhead leaders. So what I do is, if I'm going to be indicator fishing with a leader, what I'll do is I'll go out and I'll get a 7.5 foot 0X leader, and I will tie a tiny barrel swivel to the tippet section of that leader, just using a clinch knot. And you can usually find those little barrel swivels at any Dick's Sporting Goods, or Walmart will have them.
Bass Pro, is that what you call it now?
Bass Pro, yeah. You can get it there.
Right.
I rarely ever see them in fly shops, though. It's usually where they're spin tackle.
Yeah, I get them. I got mine at Cabela's this year on the way back from Michigan.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll tie that to the end of that leader, and that's like my leader for the year. I don't really need to ever take that off for any reason. And then what I'll do is from there I'll take like a piece of like 1X fluorocarbon, and I'll tie that to my first fly, which is typically like an egg pattern.
First fly, so where it's legal to fish too.
Where it's legal to fish too,
unless the man is not coming out that day.
Right. Yeah.
But you don't want to risk losing your gear.
Right. Yeah. Some states you can only fish one. New York.
Right? Yeah, that's the one I know of.
Yeah, New York. I think most places you're good with too. Check the
DC too.
You wouldn't want to go against the law.
I don't want to go to Steelhead prison.
Right. Yeah. DC's two. Right. You have two in DC.
I'd love to throw 3 shad flies.
Three. Oh yeah, you'd be nuts, man.
Blue cat, a hickory, and an American.
The shad are not really all that dissimilar to the steelhead, in my opinion.
Just get it down in front of them.
Yeah, I mean, both anadromous fish, and they eat the shiny little estaz.
I've already started custom shad orders. I'm sending them out tomorrow.
Really?
For spring.
Ah, right on.
Yeah.
How about that? That's right around
Thinking
the corner.
early.
Yeah.
And the next time we have a day like this, it'll be in May.
Yeah. So 1X, 0X to the swivel, 1X to the egg pattern or nymph, and then usually 2X off the bend of the hook or through the eyelet of that hook, down to a little baitfish pattern, white Estaz woolly bugger, or whatever your favorite Greg Senyo fly of the month is, or anything. I like. My top 3 steelhead flies are probably a 3-loop pink lady, which is like a sucker spawn type. Probably my favorite. Probably put more fly fish on that than anything else. Just a plain old white woolly bugger. I like it tied with Estaz though.
Like a crystal bugger?
Similar, yeah, just like crystal bugger. Just I like the Estaz body,
right.
As opposed to the chenille, bunch of lead wire on there and the bead, and I like that. I like that combination with the pink lady. I don't know what it is. You're Russian, so you should like blue.
Nah.
Russian guys love blue.
I tied up
what it is.
Three blue crystal buggers today.
Did you? Yeah, blue works really well. I mean, I don't know I can't tell you what the color thing is. I mean, some days they like chartreuse, some days they like pink, and others, they like black, and I don't know. I don't have any theories.
I'm tying up 3 crystal buggers in each color of Estaz I have. Figure one of those
what
size? Size 4.
Yeah.
They're
I'd take a couple smaller ones too.
70-31 hook from Fly Shack.
Yeah, is it like a stout, pretty stout?
I've never had anything bend one.
Wow, that's good.
$6.99 for 100, and they don't bend, and they're sharp.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good price.
And you get them barbless too.
Really? I would take some smaller ones. I would think about taking some smaller ones as well, just in case, Like, I would say that most commonly I would fish 6s, 6s or 8s for them. But it depends on how deep the water is going to be. But I hear that I heard it's low. It's like low and clear.
Yeah.
So I would think about tying up some little ones, you know, and also going down to smaller nymphs. And
Can people contact you for some of these flies?
yeah, you know, just give me a call at the shop, and we would always be happy to recommend something. Or
703-556-8634.
wow, you memorized the number, huh?
Well, it hasn't changed since the 90s.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I didn't have a cell phone. I had to actually call the store.
Yeah, right.
From a landline.
There was a time before cell phone.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So in that lead, so go back to leaders.
Yeah.
That was for your non-T line.
Yeah.
So 7 foot.
Yeah, usually the leader comes out to be about 10 feet long. You know, I always start with that 7 foot 0x, and it usually tapers down to 2x. You know, what's kind of neat about that little system is you do not have to tie anything except a clinch knot all the way down. And then I like to take a small piece of usually a 3x tippet, and I'll tie that 3x tippet to the other side of the barrel swivel, put a little overhand knot in it, and that's where I will place my split shot. So that way, if the split shot gets caught in the rocks, which typically that is what's getting snagged,
right,
in my opinion, is the shot. When you yank on it and you lose it, it's just the shot that comes off as opposed to the whole rig. Yeah, the whole rig, and then you can just, you know, tie on another tag end and apply more split shot. If I am, and the other thing too, you can use that same formula like if the water's low and clear. So most typically I'm using that 0x and then usually to the barrel swivel, and then usually like about a foot to 18 inches of 1x to the first fly, and then typically about 12 inches or so of 2x fluoro from the first fly to the second fly. However, if the water's really super low and clear, you can downsize that whole thing. You know, so like I'll give you an example. Like when I fish in Ohio, typically that's the leader setup because the river's a little bit bigger than Pennsylvania, and even in New York, other than a few exceptions, the river's a little bit larger on average, and usually a little bit deeper too. However, when you go to Elk Creek or Walnut Creek or 20 Mile Creek, like in Erie, Pennsylvania, those rivers are a little bit shallower. You know, they're obviously a lot smaller. So you might want to consider going from, you know, a 1x to a 2x down to a 3x, right? Or a 2 down to a 3 down to even a 4. At times when it's extremely low and clear. I do feel like these fish get line shy, especially when they've been in the rivers for a little while.
Do you find that different systems have different like size fish? Or you ever find like just monsters in small streams?
I have plenty of monsters in the small streams. There is a little creek. I'm not gonna hotspot it, but
we'll just say it's the Potomac River.
Yeah,
but somewhere on the Great Lakes.
Yeah, it's near Presque Isle. I'll give you a hint. It's near Presque Isle State Park. It's one of many streams in Presque Isle State Park.
Throw a dart, you've got a better chance of landing on it.
Yeah, right. But it's a really tiny thing. I mean that stream might be 15 feet across.
I was like the Pierre Marquette. It was that tiny, and I'm like, I can't imagine Steelhead going through this crystal clear water.
Yeah,
this shallow and narrow.
Yeah, man, it's a small stream, and it gets a run of Steelhead every year that is massive. Now I won't do anything other than try to catch them on a dry fly. In that stream.
Dry fly, Steelhead.
Yeah, you can catch Steelhead on a dry fly.
Mr. Rapidan?
That would be a good fly. That would actually be a great fly for me.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Mr. Rapidan would be a wonderful. I haven't tried it. Mostly I've tried like stimulators, you know, and not a ton of success, but I've caught some. You know, I've caught some on dry flies. I could probably count on one hand how many.
Damn.
But you know, I also haven't put a ton of time in it. I learned about it.
Walt.
Actually, believe it or not, Turnpike Walt, he's the god of all steelhead. The steelhead whisperer.
When you show me a picture, I was expecting some guy like a World War II vet, some old dude in like black and red flannel, with like the hat from the kid from Pete and Pete. But he was like around our age.
Yeah, he's a little bit older, but he's a good dude, man.
I was expecting like like the end of the river runs through it. Yeah, I was expecting that to be Turnpike Walt. Like he actually built the turnpike.
I'm convinced that Turnpike Walt catches more steelhead than any human being I've ever known. I mean, he's just like on the river every day, and he knows where they are and when they're there. And he calls me with updates. He was just on elk earlier this week and had a good day, and he caught over 20 fish. Damn. So Elk Creek's got them. They're there. So the 800,000 anglers should be there too, I'd imagine.
Right.
Pretty soon. So what were we talking about? Leaders? So you're at leaders.
Sinking now.
Okay.
I covered like the floating line.
All right, so we covered the floating stuff. So that's how you would nymph. You would use a leader system, kind of like that, with an indicator. So if I'm throwing swinging and or stripping streamers, if I were to do that on that same single hand rod, if I were to take my 7-weight, 10-foot 7-weight or 9-foot 7-weight rod,
do you have a name for your 10-foot 7?
I don't have a name. No, should I be
Is
naming?
Is it a lady?
Should I be naming my rods?
I don't know.
I've never named them. That's interesting. No, I have two. I got two 10-foot 7s. I got a Sage, and I have an Orvis H2. They're my two primary steelhead jobs, but no names. I'll have to. How about Siskel and Ebert?
Does one have a thumb up?
Yeah, right. So streamer fishing, swing or strip. I like to throw a poly leader on a single hand rod. Rio makes them. Orvis makes them. I'm sure other manufacturers have them too. They're a polymer coated leader that sinks quickly. It's kind of neat. You don't need another leader. You just pull that thing out of the package. You tie a perfection loop in the end of it. There's like a little monofilament core that comes out. And then you just tie a perfection loop in about 24 inches of tippet, loop it on, tie your fly on, and then off you go. There you go. If I'm taking my switch rod or my spay stuff out there, and on the Great Lakes, usually like I got a couple. I have a switch rod. I got like an 11-foot 7-weight. Yeah, one 11-foot 7-weight switch rod. And I got a 12-foot 8-weight switch rod as well. And then a good spay rod for it would be, you could really use, on the Great Lakes, I think you can use.
I've had no need. I've got 14-foot 9-weight in the basement.
That's pretty big.
I inherited it from somebody.
Yeah.
If he shows up at my door, he can have it back. But it's 13 years now.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for him to pick it up.
Yeah. I think
it doesn't get used.
I really think on most of the streams, at least from there might be a couple exceptions in Michigan, but I would say like between Ohio and Pennsylvania and New York, Indiana, all of those rivers you can probably fish anywhere from a 12-foot 5-weight spay rod, maybe to like a 13-foot 7-weight. I doubt you'd really need anything bigger than that. Some people have 13.5-foot 8-weights out there, but
and when you're swinging and not stripping in, you don't ice up as fast. One thing I've learned.
I have learned that too. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know if it's just you're not putting as much water into the guides. Yeah. But so even with that being said, I'm still still using floating systems. So I like the Skagit heads a lot better. I think they're a lot easier to cast. So for beginner spay fishermen, a general rule would be like the longer the belly of the line, the more difficult it is to learn how to cast it. There's some advantages to longer bellied spay lines, Skagits being one of the shorter of the spay lines. But I like the Skagit because I feel like I can turn over the most weight with it. I feel like it's pretty simple to cast. And you do not, because most of the casts are waterborne, meaning that it's the tension of the water and the line, that friction relationship that's actually loading the rod. Because most of those casts are waterborne, the D-loops do not have to be very large. Like you have large D-loops with single spays and snake rolls and things like that with Scandi lines. With a Skagit line, when you're doing snap tees and whatnot, it's the D-loop's fairly small, so you don't have to have a lot of room behind you, which is good.
Have you seen salmon fishing in the Yemen?
I have not.
Spoiler alert, hold on. A right-handed snake roll is good for getting an assassin to drop his gun.
Is that right?
The guy wraps around his arm and he drops his gun.
Is this a good movie? Have we seen what do you on a scale of 1 to 10?
There's nothing else on. It was okay. The salmon were CGI.
CGI salmon?
Well, they're in the Yemen.
Right. Good call. Yeah. Watching Game of Thrones.
Nice.
Lately.
Yes.
Yeah. Getting into it, man. Never thought I'd be into the.
I do like a good Dornish wine.
Yeah.
They have, instead of what we had tonight, they have Winterfell chili.
We had Skyline chili. Everyone, did you tell them that? You didn't tell them that.
We had a full-on Ohio meal.
Yeah, buddy. Describe what it is to them.
Skyline chili. It's chili over spaghetti, a little cheese on top, and we get it in the can. We either get it shipped here or we have my father-in-law bring it. It makes the filthiest chili dog.
Our good friend Holt accidentally left a bottle of Macallan 12 Highland single malt Scotch whiskey. It's 12 years old, and he might not get it back.
It's so sweet.
Wow, that is good. That is good.
Yeah. All right, so back to floating. Do you use indicators at all?
Yeah.
Do you have a brand preference?
Always. If I'm throwing nymphs there, I'm not. For whatever reason, there's this concept out there of like tight lining for steelhead, and I don't know. I'm not exactly sure where that came from. Like steelhead do not sit in places where trout live to eat nymphs. So this whole concept of like, oh, I'm going to get a switch rod so I can, because it's longer, so I can high stick for steelhead. I don't really know where that comes from. I suspect that people are just flossing fish off of their beds with it, which is the act of, finding spawning fish and then just drifting a fly, spawning fish that are not interested in eating your fly, and going to their reds and just drifting a fly into their mouths, basically. I don't know. I don't know if that's what people are referring to, but typically when I think of like European style nymphing for trout or high stick nymphing or whatever, however George Daniel likes to describe it. He's pretty good at it.
Talking to George, if I can get my Skype podcasting thing back up, we're going to have a big talk with George. But
yeah, I was BSing with him at the Virginia Fly Fishing and Wine Festival. Great guy. No, very, very smart dude. Knows his stuff. But those fish, typically, those trout typically live in, water where they have access readily to food that is coming down, the river. So you find them in faster moving well-oxygenated water that concentrates nymphs. Steelhead are not typically in those places. They move through those places, but they stage and they stop and they rest in
pea-sized gravel.
Well, so that's where they spawn.
Okay.
Is on pea-sized gravel, right? But that's typically very far upstream. That's where they're going. That's where they're heading. When you're catching them, typically they're on their way to try to find that pea-sized gravel. They're coming in from out of the lake, and they have one thing on their mind, and that is to do their business, So they want to go spawn. They want to go, the males want to fertilize the eggs. So they're trying to get as far upstream as they can to find that pea-sized gravel. So they're not really interested in eating. I'm not a biologist, but I've done a lot of research into it, and
only George Costanza wants to eat while copulating.
Yeah,
the salami sandwich.
Right.
Pastrami is the most.
Rob, you're.
Hold on a second.
It's.
What did George say? It was pastrami is the most seductive of meats, or something like that.
You got a leaky tomato
those
here.
Tomatoes are bad. I think that's going to go back
here.
to the compost.
Yeah.
The benefit of tomatoes in the compost pile back there is the next year they all just grow out of the compost pile.
Really?
Half our tomatoes and peppers. We have an avocado over there. There's weird stuff that grows all over the house. Like the squirrels will drop tomatoes. There's tomato plants all over our yard. We didn't plant them.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, that thing is just gooey.
I forgot.
Just put a firecracker in that, but Donovan will come out blazing. Who knows?
What were we talking about?
Gravel. Yeah, so they're not eating when they're getting it on.
Right. Yeah. I really don't think they're eating much at all, to be honest. I've pumped the stomachs with a turkey baster of quite a few steelhead in my day.
You didn't use that on turkey later, did you?
No, I didn't. When I first started out,
I was going to baste a turkey. She's like, I had to go to the store. Where is it? And Art's like blushing. He's got behind his back.
Yeah. When I first started out, I was really curious about what they were eating. So I carried around this turkey baster, which around here people would look at you as if you were weird, but in Cleveland, that's just commonplace sort of activity. And I would pump the stomachs of those things, and I found very little.
It's like the snakeheads. We gutted them up at Chain Bridge, empty.
Very little, man. I don't know. But I don't see them eating. I mean, I've watched steelhead for countless hours, and they're not really eating. When they first come into the tributaries, they do bust like emerald shiners and stuff like that. You will see that on the lower stretches of the river quite often. And in fact, I could have some pretty good days just going in the very beginning of the season down to the mouth of certain rivers and stripping like little clousers and stuff, and I would catch them. And guys would catch them on spoons. Bait fishermen or spin fishermen would catch them on spoons, and bait fishermen would catch them dead drifting salted minnows and various other things.
Did you do a lot of beach fishing there, Jerry Darkis? Darkis. He talks about that.
Yeah, Jerry's really got that dialed in. Jerry and I are from a similar neighborhood, both west side Clevelanders. West side? And, yeah. And then, Jerry was really into that, and as was Jeff Lasquet, who's another Ohio guy. I did some, I did some. It was very difficult. I read Jerry's book. I'm sure Jerry's got a lot more experience than I do with it. But it was pretty hard, So basically the name of that game was you find a tributary, and you walk the beach, very near it when the fish were staging, getting ready to go up the river, and or you were fishing for drop-back fish that were leaving the tributary and heading back into the lake. I found it to be pretty difficult, but I will say this. The fish that I did catch doing that from the beach were some of the more memorable ones. When they get into open water like that, and they're so fresh, yeah, exactly. So
what was the color on those?
Yeah, they were silver. So the ones I never got, I think I might have had one or two fish that were drop back fish, were like kind of like caught them while I was fishing for smallmouth. You know, fishing for the lake run smallmouth off the beach. All of a
sudden,
yeah, I got it steelhead. But the ones that were, you know, kind of the preseason guys were dime bright, dime bright steelhead. And yeah, they were filled with piss and vinegar and had all the room in the world to run around, and that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and you can see them at times too. Like there's places in Ohio, in the Cleveland area, where there are some beaches that have like these, I don't know what you want to call them, jetties or what are those? You know,
like a jetty.
Yeah, like a jetty. You know, you can walk out on the jetty, and
they keep the sand from shifting. They block the flow of sand up.
Oh, is that what that's for?
At least on the Atlantic, they do.
Huh. But you could walk out on those jetties, and if you found a beach that was near, you know, tributaries, you could see sometimes if the water was clear and the weather was nice, you could see the steelhead staging up, getting ready to run.
That's crazy.
Into the tributary, and I feel like a lot of times they were out of casting range. You know, which made it difficult. The wind obviously played a part, and as did the chop and the waves. But I never tried it. I never tried it from a boat. Never once did I ever put a boat in the water or think about doing a kayak, and that was interesting because I read about that in Jerry's book, and that's what's the name of Jerry's book?
It's like Inland Oceans?
Yeah, fly fishing the inland oceans. Yeah, very good. Very good. I did a lot of that for smallmouth.
And we're talking big smallmouth.
Yeah. I truthfully think that, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love steelhead, but I think that's what Lake Erie is known for, you know, is the smallmouth fishing. I was just reading an article recently about, like, the top 10 places in the world to go smallmouth fishing, and Lake Erie was on that list. I mean, I kid you not, man. I mean, there's places where you will, if you catch 20 fish, one of them is 4 pounds.
Oh, good heavens, man!
Yeah, I mean and there are plenty of 5 and 6 pound fish to be caught in Lake Erie.
Live in the wrong place.
Absolutely,
except for the shad.
What else?
So flies. You mentioned your pink lady.
Yeah, I like the pink lady. I like the white woolly bugger.
Should people be buying flies at the shops they go to, like local specialties, versus like buying them down here and headed up?
You know, I think, you know, I don't know that it matters. Again, I mean, I think there's probably every now and then you'll find a hidden gem at a local fly shop. The kind of the caveat with that is, like, I feel like sometimes, especially when you're fishing really pressured water, when you go and you buy the local favorite fly, the fish have seen a million of them. You know what I mean? And you know, they might have been hooked various times, and I think when the fish see the same, you know, chartreuse glowbug float down the river 100 times, they're going to stop.
Right.
They're going to lose interest.
Like, that's an uncle one. That's Orvis. That's MFC.
But, you know, I don't know that it matters. I think it's definitely good to support your local fly shops. I think that fly selection is not extremely important with steelhead. I really think that it's like the presentation and I've caught them on cigarette butts before. Yeah, I have. I've had a couple days where we were just so damn good that we wanted to see what we couldn't get them to eat.
I want to do that with our trip this year. Who can tie the ugliest fly and catch a fish on it?
There's it's amazing what works. It's amazing what works.
I was catching all my shad flies last year.
Yeah, stonefly nymphs. You should use the shad flies are perfect for it. Hey, Jones.
Dr. Jones has joined us.
Dr. Jones.
He's actually been quiet for the first time today. How many flies should someone take up? I mean, I lose a lot of flies.
I would take up quite a few, man. I think that...
your breath stinks, dude.
I think that you need to be losing flies to catch fish. You need to be snagging the bottom.
To know that you're down there.
To know that you're down, yeah, absolutely. I use up a lot of flies when I steelhead fish. I really do. So I would have a good, if you're going for a few days or something, you better have a whole box of flies, filled up. And I think you'd have a good selection of streamers that look like small bait fish. I think you should have some stonefly nymphs. I think that you should have some really small nymphs, like variations of pheasant tails and things like that. Your trout stuff will work great, in case the water's really low or really clear. I think you should have a selection of various kinds of egg patterns and all sorts of different colors.
You like McFly foam versus egg versus like a bead egg. What about the actual pegged eggs?
Okay, cool. So when I'm tying, I like McFly foam. When I'm purchasing glow bugs, I actually like the way that the manufactured egg yarn, the commercial egg,
perfectly round.
Yeah,
every time.
exactly.
Mine don't look like
How
that.
do you? I know, right? So that's for glow bugs.
I guess when you tie like 300 a day.
Yep, they're
gonna look good.
They're just great at it. You gotta love those Kenyan kids, man. They are just amazing.
Little fingers.
Yep. So I think McFly foam's great. Like if you're a tyer, I definitely recommend using the McFly foam and the straw method.
Right.
You can look that up on YouTube. That's how I do it. With my sucker spawn type patterns, I really like Antron. Or is that what? No, Angora. I'm sorry. Angora, not Antron. Angora yarn. That's what I really like is the Angora yarn. I think that is the best. And I think that I should probably credit somebody for that pink lady fly. I don't know whose it is. Maybe
Angora was
Carl Waxelman or John Nagy, one of those guys.
Back in the day, they just used straight up Angora chunks because you get caught in the Atlantic salmon's teeth.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
They would just tie a chunk of that on and drag the fish in.
But
it's kind of like gar fishing.
Yeah. But Angora yarn, I mean, it works really well, and you just look up the 3-loop pink lady, and you can tie that in all sorts of various colors. But it's kind of like chartreuse thread with the pink Angora is my favorite. Yeah. But I'll do them in
what size hook?
Yolks. And,
or what type of hook?
So I really like. Orvis makes a what is it? It's like a shrimp scud hook.
Curved shrimp scud.
Yeah, curved shrimp scud. I really like that one for that fly. Or they have an egg hook as well. But I prefer the shrimp scud. Yeah. And usually I'm throwing like a 10, most typically. Mm-hmm. If the water's really low, I might go down to a 12. The problem with anything below that is like those things will bend hooks. I mean, they will definitely bend hooks.
It's okay, dude.
But I've fished down as low as 14. But I know guys that have fished 16, 18 flies for steelhead to catch them in really low, clear, pressured water.
Particular fly box you like better than others? That you recommend? Something with floats with your name on it?
Yeah, I like it's got to float and it's got to be clear for me. I love clear and I love floating, but I won't spend a lot of money on a fly box. I tear them to pieces, man. I drop them on the ground, bust them up, I scratch them, scrape them. These new tacky boxes are really nice.
Yeah.
Those are really nice. I feel like the tacky boxes, because you can just kind of back the hooks up into all the slots there, and I like that they're really thin, that I can see through them, and that they float. They're magnetized. So go with that. I just bought one of those, so I'm real excited about it.
Yeah, man.
I haven't even got it out in the water yet.
So let's talk about now, like the gear you need, the non-terminal tackle, like breathables versus neoprenes. Do people still wear neoprenes? Unless they're doing budget, because they're...
Some people still wear neoprenes in the winter months. They're warm. They do not breathe very well.
You can't like match the boot you want to it.
Yeah, that's the tough part. I would recommend breathables. I have used all manners of waders and base layers and boots and yada 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 yada. So I like breathables because I like the versatility of them. They dry pretty quickly as well. I think that again, just get the best waders that you can afford. There are all kinds of great manufacturers out there now. Sims makes some phenomenal stuff. Orvis, Patagonia. There's some other wader brands out there.
See, Drift is like kind of a new one. Hodgman.
Yeah, Chota, that's one, right? They just do boots.
They do waders.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. I think they're all pretty good.
Spend the money on one that's not going to tear easily.
Yeah.
The Sonic seam. I mean, it's just...
I like the Sonic seams.
I've been wearing mine since we filmed Urban Lines.
Oh, wow.
It's going on like 4+ years.
And they're still
wearing the same pair.
No leaks?
Nothing.
Wow.
No issues.
Yeah, that's good.
4-mile run, they come out and they stink, but you put them in the sun for an hour or so.
Good to go.
It kills that
good to
awful.
Go. No, I personally, I really like them. I have a pair of Orvis Guide Pro guide waders.
The previous ones?
No, these ones are out now.
Oh, the Sonic Pros.
The Sonic Pros.
Yeah. I want the hand pouch on them.
Yeah. I like that.
Somewhere to put, because when you're swinging, you don't need both hands.
You don't need both hands, and it's good to let you keep your gloves in there and everything else.
The wader straps are pretty cush on that.
Yeah, nice wader straps, nice yoke on the back. So I have a pair of those, and then I also have a pair of the convertible top Sonic seam jobs, and those are it's great because I kind of wear the guides in the winter months.
I found a pair of the Orvis zippers at one of the shops along Pier Marquette. I was like, that might be the last pair in the
I think there's some around still. I mean, they're still selling some online.
All right,
whatnot. Some people love those. They think they're real convenient.
Yeah. Especially if you got to take a leak.
If you got to, you know what though, man? Here's the thing. That's what I love about my my convertibles is I can
slide them down.
I can slide them down far enough that can make it happen.
I got the Orvis bibs though, so you got to pull the zipper up.
Oh yeah,
those Orvis, they're so comfortable. That's what Tom used to wear in gas stations. He would just wear a pair of my buddy Tom. He would just walk, and I remember some girls I like your pajamas, in Alaska. And he's like, because they have a zipper for your wallet.
Yeah.
He would walk around.
Base layers I think is the most important aspect of the wading. I really prefer merino wool. And I've tried it all, man. I've tried the Capoline and the polyester fleece and this and that and the other, and I've tried regular old lamb's wool, and I really think that you should be layering both tops and bottoms with merino wool, and then an extremely poor conditions, a thicker wading pant and a second wool layer as well. I think that wool is just the most versatile, warmth to weight ratio. I really like merino. It's obviously that it wicks moisture. It's antimicrobial. It's very warm. You should never be wearing any cotton products.
Kills.
Yeah, underneath your waders. Nylons and polyesters, as long as they're breathables, those are okay. I think the best choice is the wool in the cold conditions. Icebreaker is my favorite kind of price point. For the money, I really like Icebreaker. However, Arc'teryx makes some good stuff. Smart Wool makes some...
Not those old school white cotton waffly looking jobs.
No.
Ellie Orr and E.T.
No. Yeah. I don't know what...
What was wearing those? I'm like, dude, you can't be wearing it out on the river, man. That's that.
Yeah. They go to... people go to Walmart and they get the Long Johns.
Yeah.
I got a pair of Long Johns. I got a couple pairs of... I got 3 pairs of them on.
Nope.
17 pairs of socks. Same with socks, man. Merino wool.
I wear the Orvis Bootfoot 3-pack merino wool.
Yep.
He'd shoot a hole in one of them playing tug of war.
The big gray ones?
Yeah,
I have those too.
That's what I'm wearing. That's all I wear. Even in the summer. Like today was upper 70s.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine wearing those.
So you wear those just around the house and stuff?
I will never own a pair of white cotton tube socks.
Yeah, I don't have.
I'm no risky business.
I have the Orvis Invincible Extras.
Yeah.
That I rock those out quite often, just as my daily. I love those socks, man. Made in Vermont.
If someone's listening and has merino wool compression socks, because those,
yeah, those will work.
I love me some compression socks.
Yeah, absolutely, those will work just fine. But I think any pair of wool socks is the point here. Any wool.
No need for those old school white polypro liners.
No.
I think I just threw mine out recently. I cleaned out the crawl space.
I don't think so. I think that there are times when it's extremely, extremely cold. Like, the water is damn near freezing.
Shelf ice?
Yeah, there's shelf ice. I will put on 2 pairs.
You want to tell them about shelf ice? If you live in the Caribbean and you're listening, shelf ice is...
So, shelf ice is like the river starts to freeze on the sides of the banks. And so, basically it creates like a little shelf where you'll have a run of water in the middle of the river in a certain part of the river, but the banks themselves are actually frozen, and you can actually walk out onto the ice a little bit and then go fishing. So it's like basically it's the bank of the river is frozen solid, and the ice has creeped out into the water a little bit.
It just breaks off and floats down and knocks you over.
Right. The problem is that it can in fact be dangerous. I have been on the river in the winter months more than once where a section of that shelf ice has cracked off because of maybe it was a warm day or whatever, and there was some thawing or
some jabroni walking across it.
Some jabroni walking across it, exactly, and it cracks off and floats down the river. And some of them are as large as the foundation of your home.
If you're not paying attention, that thing knocks you right in your knee.
Right, you could potentially get drowned or get knocked down the river. So you do have to be careful. You do have to be careful. I wouldn't consider the. You got to drink this.
Okay.
I wouldn't consider the Great Lakes steelhead fishing to be dangerous if you're intelligent about what you're doing. I do think that hypothermia is a risk if you fall in and you're not prepared. There are some places on the Rocky River, for instance, in Ohio and on the Cuyahoga, where I've walked 8-9 miles from a car, and if and there are places on these rivers where some of them where you can walk really far on a river, but you can't get out because the shale.
I remember
shale
the Rocky
walls.
Beach. Yeah, you got some crazy geology and topography in Ohio.
Yeah, there is.
I was not expecting those walls when I got there.
No, so Ohio used to be under an ocean long ago. I don't know how many years. I'm not a geologist.
10,000.
But is that
That was the
accurate?
last ice age. Yeah, that was the last podcast. We learned about the driftless area from Max.
Oh, right on. Cool.
Max is my neighbor up the street.
So it used to be underneath an ocean, right? And like that, those shale walls, right? In between that shale is fossils.
So that's like in the Abyss, the movie, like when they go down to those.
Yeah. So there's like this giant species that they found called like the Dunkosaurus or something. It's like this giant shark-eating, armored, plated fish they found in the shale at the Rocky River, and it was like, I don't know how long it was, but it would have like eaten Jaws,
Nice.
Yeah, they said they would have ate like giant sharks. But anyway, yeah. So there's these giant shale bluffs all over some of those.
It's constantly crumbling.
Yeah, it is.
You think Jawas are up there? Like,
yeah, it is.
All of a sudden, out of nowhere, pieces just break off.
They do. They fall down. You got to be careful driving around on the Metro Parks roads and stuff, and there's always like little rock slides and things like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what about boots? What kind of traction should we be having?
I think.
What about felt in the winter? Is that a good idea?
No felt. I'm not a felt fan. The felt in the winter thing is, and I still see this happening to people. So if you wear felt boots in the snow, what'll happen is like you'll step into water, and then the felt freezes when you get out of the water, and then you like step in the snow.
You got pimp shoes.
Yeah, and then the snow freezes to the felt, and it's like you're walking on
giant platforms.
Yeah, giant platforms of ice.
Like and I'm gonna get you, sucker. You see that?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
The shoes with the goldfish in them.
Right, exactly. So yeah, no felt. Felt's bad. I don't like. Let's just get into that whole felt rubber thing.
I've never felt. I fell down a flight of stairs in Rocky Mountain National Park in felt because the steps were wet and I slipped and I had no traction and I twisted my knee. Do you remember when Jim Carrey's running out to get on the airplane to give Mary Swanson her briefcase?
Oh yeah.
And he falls and his leg is like,
yeah.
That's my wife comes down the stairs. She's like, "What happened?" I'm like, "Felt boots."
Yeah, I just don't see the advantage. Like, right? So the problem with the felt is like you can't get out. You get no traction like on a muddy bank or.
I got stuck at.
You can't get out.
Okay, I'm gonna use the paper here. Yeah. This is the slope. Maybe it was like this. Inches.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get off the riverbank in my felt because it was muddy.
Yeah, you just
can't.
It
was maybe like a 6-inch increase in elevation. It was at Dickerson. Yeah,
right,
and I couldn't get out.
Yeah, Dickerson's
I had to walk
horrible.
a mile downriver, and I'm talking like it would have been hilarious to film that. Last time we were out there, though, Holt watched me eat it. I fell down and
I think they smell. I think they're smelly when you put them in the back of your truck or whatever. I think you need to clean them more. Maybe they
wear out faster too.
I think they wear out faster. I think that some people are saying now that they're transferring aquatic parasites from one watershed to another, and that I have opinions about that too. Like, because I think that
birds do it more.
Yeah, I think that like animals and bilge water from boats and stuff, but I just don't see. I really do see zero advantage to them. I really do. I think that if you get good Vibram soles on your boots, and a lot of boots come with them now.
I just ordered new Corkers, the big Corker rubber with the big stud.
Okay, yeah. I like the.
I tripped on a salmon last year. I fell in. I punctured my hand.
Oh,
bad. I'm going big studs this year.
Big ones?
Yeah.
I like those tungsten carbide ones. Those 4-point.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? Those are
a lot of surface area.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of surface area. I feel like they're soft. I feel like they flex and move a little bit.
I heard the aluminum
Contour.
bars. If you step on your fly line's done.
Really?
'Cause you've got,
is that
like-
is that Patagonia's new?
Yeah, Corkers has. It
I saw
too.
those at the show. I saw
People do
those
like
at the
homemade versions.
The bar, so they'll cut your.
I heard like if you step on fly line, it just squashes and slices it.
Every single fly line I own has got a nick in it somewhere, probably because of my studs stepping on them. But I just usually I just zap-a-gap it. Zap-a-gap, done. So no felt, yeah, rubber. I like the rubber and the.
And let's go about your boa.
Tungsten carbide.
Do you like the boas?
The grips.
No, the dial.
All right, here's my thing on the.
Why don't we just have
man.
big Velcro straps?
Here's the Velcro straps.
Like old Velcro shoes?
Do those work in the water?
Probably.
Oh, actually, you know what? I know they work in the water because the Orvis.
Flats boots.
Yeah, the flats boots. The Andros flats boots have that Velcro.
And then you can adjust like the way you go up your foot, how tension you want it.
That sounds like a great
Maybe
idea.
one day it'll be like the Back to the Future, like self-lacing wading boot. Somehow.
I like the Velcro idea. I wonder how that would work. You'd be getting flies all stuck in it.
Yeah.
I have flies in like a lot of. I have like zebra midges in like laces of my boots.
I do like
from
these.
from getting snagged.
I'll take
on my
Velcro
own
to
lace.
like brush out a streamer.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
The curly stuff.
Dude.
If I got Velcro on me, I'm like, here we go.
I have strips of Velcro wrapped around pencils.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah, that's my dubbing brushes in my
had
fly
one of
tying
those.
in my fly tying kit stuff. I wrap it around the back of a pencil, the sticky side. So what were we talking about again?
boots, felt, laces versus boa.
Oh, laces versus boa. So the boa. All right, I've been selling them now for a while because Orvis has a really nice boa system. So it's like the boa pivot boot, really nice boot, and then we have the access boot, which is like a really similar boot, just without. It's just regular laces as opposed to the boa system.
Yeah.
So, I have personally never owned a boa system boot, but I'm a little, my personal opinion on it is like I'm a little nervous about it because I have extra laces that I keep in my sort of wading kit in case I break a lace. I'm wondering with that boa, like. And I've never had one returned yet, which is cool. So I've never had somebody bring one back, which is nice. And I sell quite a few of them because they're convenient. But like, what if it, breaks? You're kind of like done for the day.
Or if you're in the middle.
Well, they have
BFE.
extra. I guess they have like. They do have replacement kits now that you can get.
Oh, I've had to buy one.
Have you?
Yeah, my first pair of corkers got like, I want to say it was the fine sand particles at 4 Mile just got in there and clogged it up. But I've been wearing the Devil's Canyon for 3 seasons now, and
No
issue.
problem.
Oh, they're so comfortable.
I'm gonna stay with my laces, man. I mean, it's just we've had the shoelace technology. I think is just absolutely wonderful.
It doesn't change.
Tie it up, doesn't change.
I've got like
it's been
30,
the same way.
30 pairs of bootlaces downstairs if you need some.
Yeah,
From Australia.
I'm good. I'm gonna just ride that shoelace thing out, man. I feel like it's like a fine wine. It gets better with age. Just good old fashioned shoelaces.
You can always go to the gas station and probably find a pair.
That's what I mean. They're always they're always accessible and available. What if that boa? What if it like breaks while the boot's on?
Your boot falls off and drifts away. I've seen that happen with
No,
Tevas
like
back in the day.
what if it's like cranked all the way down and then
you're
it breaks?
stuck with it.
Then you gotta like find some wire cutters, get the boot off. And then what if it pops and you don't have the replacement kit and you can't or if you do have to have a replacement kit, now you got to sit down, you got to go through an instruction manual, figure out how to replace your dial wire on the stream.
Right.
I don't know, but I am yet to see a customer bring a pair back because it broke. So
I want some sneakers with them. I don't run, But I wouldn't mind just like a pair of...
I want to know when we're going to get wading boots with the pumps. Yeah. Remember back in the day when you could pump up your shoe? You know, on the little basketball shoes.
Reebok.
Pump. Yeah, that's what I want. And lights.
You can wade in the dark.
You can wade in the dark.
It'd be like those cars that used to have the lights underneath them. See where you're going. Headlights on the toe.
Headlights on the toe lights.
Toe lights. You start writing this down. All right, so let's talk about some of the other gear. Like, what about nets? You said, I think in the last one, you don't net. You grab the tail.
I don't. I'm a tailer. I grab the tail, man.
How long did it take you?
Tiger by the tail, buddy.
How long did it take you?
A long time.
See, I'm always nervous in the Salmon River.
I lost so many fish before I figured it out.
There's so many fish in the Salmon River that have flies stuck in them. I'm scared I'm going to grab one day that's going to hook me, and like a 15-pound fish is going to flop away with my hand attached to it.
I've never thought about that.
It scares the crap out of me.
That's an interesting point. Yeah,
I've had like smallmouth. Yeah. Like when I used to use like rooster tails on my spinning rod.
Yeah.
Like they would flop around, and I'd get one of those stuck in my thumb, and the fish would be flopping. And
I've never had that happen. I don't know. I'm sure it could, but I tail them. I think that the net that you would have to carry would have to be so big. I mean, it's got to be really big, man.
There's the pictures in the shop that have Lee Wolf with that like tail snare.
Yeah.
Like they use for catching the dogs.
Where's that thing? I want one of those.
Bring that back.
Yeah. That would be perfect. I know what you're talking about.
I mean, you're not, scraping slime off the whole body.
No, you could probably make one of those.
Yeah.
Like with a rope, like some sort of
PVC pipe.
Just a PVC pipe. Like a little slip knot job kind of thing in there. Grab his tail.
We're going to practice on you, Dr. Jones.
Yeah.
What do you think, Snow?
Those landing gloves work pretty well. I used that this year for the carp in the canal. So last year,
2 days. If you're listening to this on time, it's too late. But we got 2 days left to fish the canal for the year.
Before the
months.
Yeah. Before they drain it. But we're good up before.
It's this weekend, Saturday.
Yeah, but above like lock 7. Right?
You gotta have a Maryland license. I don't do that.
Yeah.
I like Georgetown because I can get a sandwich or falafel.
Where do you get your falafels at, Georgetown?
Quick Pita. It's Lebanese. Pacific and P Street and M, right across from Dean and DeLuca. There's a good bowl right there. Yeah. It's pretty good.
Oh man.
And they roll it instead of like stuffing it.
Me and my buddy Lee Turkle, who he's got a sweet carp blog called Mr. Brownliner, Ventures in the Brown Line. Awesome dude.
You did pretty well with him over the summer, right?
Yeah. He came into DC and got him on a nice goldfish, big giant goldfish. But we did the mulberry stuff on the canal, and we went into some place in Georgetown, man, and had some pork belly. Oh,
it's good.
God, I love pork belly.
It's good stuff right up there.
It's amazing.
There's a good ramen joint right down the street that loads up with pork belly.
Really?
Home Depot on 50?
Yeah.
There's a ramen next to Banchan.
Right on. Yeah, love me some pork belly, man. All right, what are we talking about? We're talking about
nets.
Nets. Nets. I don't know. I mean, I think the size of the net that you need is so damn big that it just sucks carrying it. I think you should learn to tail the fish.
What about beaching them's kind of...
But, I used that landing glove this year for carp.
You just grab them
in the canal, because you can't... It's the same problem with the carp in the canal. I mean, the nets,
I just hear Elle screaming next door. Dom's putting his kids to bed while his wife's like at work late. Good luck with that, D.
But that thing, that landing glove is great.
Right.
I really like that thing. I mean, you grab the tail and it's like firm on there, and apparently it doesn't harm the fish.
And then you just put your hand in, rinse off whatever.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
Doesn't get oogie?
No, I don't know.
I always forget where mine is.
I don't know what but I think I think the net is. When you go, nobody has a net, right? I mean, how many nets do you see? Very few, I think.
I mean, I bought one for Healing Waters trip. I paid like $80.
Now, if I'm guiding, I'll take a net.
Yeah.
But that's different.
But I've learned, if you don't bring a net, you catch the fish. If you bring the net, nothing. This is like the Murphy's Law about it.
I do rock the net for trout, big time.
I could have used one in Colorado.
I love me netting.
I lost so many big fish in Colorado because I didn't have a net.
Were you out there with
Justin?
Chavone?
So he had a net.
That was a blast, man. I love that guy.
That dude has his
just
trout
awesome.
game is on. Like sight casting, like size 20, 22s.
Yeah,
so
he's
rising
getting,
trout like 30 feet away.
Man, I remember when I first moved here, man. Him and I went up and fished.
Beaver?
Yeah, we fished beaver. You know, he's an awesome guy. I love him. I'll have to go out there and visit him.
The Dream Stream is right up the street from his house. I mean, granted, like an hour, maybe 40 minutes.
Yeah,
but
still.
You make a left out of his neighborhood, and you're there.
What an awesome dude, too.
I've never seen anybody eat McDonald's parfaits for breakfast. 2 of them.
So no net. What else? What else?
What about? Do you need a funny fishing hat or like a warm one?
A warm one, man.
Wind stopping,
dude. You know, here's the thing. It depends on where you are, right? Like everybody immediately thinks that when they think of Great Lakes Steelhead, they think of like you're standing out there in mountains of snow, and it is. But some places like Ohio, it's the best damn month of the year is March. I mean, it's March. Like usually my best steelhead fishing day of the year always used to be my birthday. It was March 21st, into March. I used to always catch the most steelhead on March 21st. So I would I would say that it's not always. These frigid conditions.
Right.
Now, March in Cleveland can still be cold.
I mostly fish the salmon, and there's this like...
So that's like a fall run, So
Death Eater, Harry Potter cold that just comes down the river.
Yeah.
That just sucks the heat and life out of you. Because back before, when I started fishing, they weren't like buffs and neck gaiters. I had this Redskins wool headband that came in the Washington Post in like 87, and I'd wear that on my neck to keep me warm.
No, man, I do.
I can't find my Under Armour hat.
So I have an awesome icebreaker, like second layer, like wool, merino wool thing, and it's got a neck job, and I zip that all the way up. And I typically do a wool beanie that covers my ears. And that's what I do. That's what I do. I think gloves are extremely important. Fingerless wool. 2 options. You can go down to White's Army, the Army Navy store.
Ranger Surplus.
Ranger Surplus. Yeah,
you got to deal with the dudes
White's Army Navy's in Ohio. Yeah.
The guys that work there, holy. I don't know where you don't see these people out in public.
No, they're like what? How much do they cost in there? There's fingerless wool.
$4.99.
Yeah, $5.
And then if they get wet and slimy, you throw them on shore and grab another pair.
Yeah.
But the barber wool.
Yeah, the barber ones are really.
Those
good.
are toasty.
Those are nice, man. Those ones I have actually now. They're like what? Like $20.
They're worth it.
Something like that.
That's what I wear just driving around here.
Yeah, those ones aren't itchy either. Yeah. They're not itchy.
Yeah, the ones from Ranger.
They're itchy.
Yeah.
They're itchy. But yeah, some wool fingerless gloves. You can wring them out. Throw them up on the shore, whatever. Let them dry out. Get another pair if you want. But that's it. All wool. That's what I wear.
You got a particular color sunglass you like?
Amber. Usually amber. I think amber in freshwater is.
You ever go yellow, like on a low light?
Best low light. Yeah, I do. I have I actually have a pair of cheapy yellow sunglasses that I bought for just that reason, and they work really well.
The ones on Amazon, they're like $20.
I'm trying to remember the brand. Actually, they might be Orvis ones. They might be like a $30-$40 Orvis pair. One of the. No, I don't know. I don't know what they are, but yeah, they're yellow and they work well. They work well in the low light, but they're like worthless during the day.
Yeah, I think Smitty told us a good story last year about a guy who wanted to start right at dawn, and no sunglasses or anything on, and first cast, puts a hook in his eye.
Oh, no.
But it turned out he had cataracts developing, and they didn't know. So he went in to get the hook removed, and then they're like, yeah, come back, we're going to do cataract surgery on you. Probably saved his eyes.
Jeez.
But that's not how I want to find out that I got cataracts.
No, me neither, man. What's the worst hook?
Have
you ever gotten any clients ever?
I've done nose, ears, necks.
Yeah, the whole thing, yeah.
Ears. I had a kid hooked his dad in the throat. Same kid. We're fishing up at Riverbend. He hooks a spinning rod and pulls it out of like 20 feet deep.
Wow.
We're fishing like bottom bouncing through the boulder field. He pulls up a spinning rod. Still had a worm on it.
I was just talking to some guy in the shop yesterday that said that he caught 3 or 4 fish this year that were over 20 inches at Riverbend, smallmouth.
It's got to be in that boulder field. You hook a bluegill, will come up and rip it off your line.
Yeah.
It's the worst boat ramp ever, though.
I've had a lot of good fish there this year, but I didn't catch any 20-inch fish there this year.
One day we had actually gotten a thunderstorm. It was the day that Ellicott City blew out.
Oh, okay.
So that thunderstorm was brewing. Like Ellicott City, Maryland, if you don't know, got like 6 inches in an hour. And the entire downtown flooded. It was like destroyed. So we're like, yeah, we got to run. So we're like humping it back to the lot. But we had a thunderstorm like 2 days before. We went back a week later where it had been fishing was like completely dry.
Wow.
The river like had moved like 20 feet laterally up to the shoreline. That's where I got all the fish that are eating the mosquitoes in my tank right there.
See that damn fish that Trent caught out in Montana?
That rainbow?
That rainbow.
That was a 30-inch rainbow.
30-inch rainbow. In the continental U.S., buddy. Right here, in the lower 48 even. I absolutely love. Now that is a steelhead. that was a steelhead.
The
size.
colors on it. I want to get a
Rainbow
dark
trout.
olive steelhead with a red stripe going down it. I've never gotten a dark one. I guess that's more of springtime.
Yeah, that's the Ohio fish. You know,
After they've been blended in.
Yeah, a lot of the Ohio fish are green and olive, and I mean they're immediately chrome, but the top of their backs are olive. Some of them look blue. You know, with a red stripe.
So the bucket over here with the fish eating mosquitoes, there's a black-nosed dace. I've got a outbreak of planaria in my aquarium, so I put one of the black-nosed dace in there.
What's planaria?
Flatworms. You can cut them in half. The head grows a tail. The tail grows a head.
Whoa!
It was the first organism to have an full mouth to anus evolve. You can take a razor blade and split their head in half, and they'll grow 2 heads like that.
That's awesome.
So I'm like, well, I got to get rid of them in the aquarium because I don't know what they're doing to my shrimps. So I take the fish out of there, and he's like bleach white from being out in this bucket. Within 10 minutes, pure black stripe on him again.
Wow. That's
pretty cool. Like he had totally blended in to the aquarium. So
you're still doing that? You're still doing that aquarium stuff, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying to get rid.
Do you still have like caddis hatches in the house?
Yeah, don't tell my wife. I think we get mosquitoes in and bite us, and they like are. Because I found a lot of mosquitoes in my office this summer. I'm like tying, and I'm like, what the? Slap my arm.
Oh man.
Yeah, I feel bad though when I go to vacuum. I twice a week I vacuum the house, and there'll be like a dead caddis on the windowsill, and I feel bad I didn't get it, to release it before it died. We'll be watching TV, and she's like, "These damn moths keep flying at me." All right, what about gadgets like hemostat? What kind of hemos, nippers do we need? Hook files.
Hook files are huge.
Every fly shop's got the gadget wall.
Yeah.
What do I need on the gadget wall to be a steelhead angler?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. That's one that I don't get often. I think a hook sharpener is pretty damn important. You are just dredging those flies on the bottom consistently.
That could be a caddis above you right now.
And the ability to... I think that is a caddis above me right now. Yeah, definitely. I think that the hook sharpener, probably the most important one. you're just bouncing those flies off of rocks on the bottom all day long. Even if you're swinging flies, you're still nicking the bottom. And with the swinging flies, I like to do them with trailer hooks, and I use the octopus hooks, like the ones you actually. The most recent flies I just tied up were ones on some hooks you gave me. I mean, you left them in my locker.
Yeah. I'm using the OPST swing hooks now.
Yeah.
We're gonna go. I think that's a heavy, sharp ass hook.
Yeah, I've never seen one. I've seen them online.
I'm gonna have Art tie a fly when we're done. Maybe we'll like raffle it off or something.
I think that a hook sharpener is important. I recently picked up one of those Orvis catch and release tools.
Yeah,
and I used it up at the West Branch of the Delaware River in the Catskills this past August, and I really liked that. I really liked that, and I was still like netting the fish, but it was really cool to be able to
slides right to the hook.
Oh, it's like amazing. I mean, it just pops. I don't know how I would describe it to someone. It looks like a. What does it look like?
It looks like a toothbrush with no bristles and a groove in it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. And you just slip it on the line, pops the hook right out. I think that's great. I think for steelhead, I think if you're tailing the fish, you can't. I guess you could still use it. I've never used it on a steelhead.
Like when we were fishing a couple years ago, the legend is what we called him. Did a net. He just brought him in, didn't tail him. Just reach in the water, pop the hook out, and let him go. Mm-hmm. You can tell there's different types of steelhead, guys. I still want a picture of mine to look at.
Yeah, I don't really take pictures of them anymore. I mean, you've caught so many of them or whatever. You got a million steelhead pictures. It's got to be a pretty huge fish for me to want to take a picture of it. When
pictures, how can you tell a male from a female just by looking at a steelhead?
Typically the jaw. I can typically tell by the lower jaw, of the fish. The males, you can usually see that kite starting to grow, even very early on when they first get in. So that's usually the way I look. I'm sure there's other ways to
why we don't get that
to identify them as well.
I'd be out there, my mouth would fill up with rain. Birds perching on it, trying to take a sip. Like a walking bird bath.
That's usually how I tell them apart. I feel like I don't know why I don't have any evidence to back this up. But I feel like the males are longer and skinnier.
A little more sexual dimorphism.
Yeah, and I feel like the females are fatter and rounder. I don't know.
Trent does like that song about fat bottom girls.
Trent Jones?
He was singing that at a bar one night.
Trent and I went up to the West Branch of the Delaware back in May, and we drove from the DC area all the way up there. And on the way home, we met Dan Duvall up there, too. Nice. We went fishing with Dan.
He can't figure out Skype. That's why we haven't had him on yet.
Yeah.
It's too complicated.
And we sang songs all the way home. All sorts of different. Trent likes him some R&B.
Oh, I'm sure he busts out some rap.
Oh, he'll throw down. He does. He's quite he's got a nice voice too. He'll throw down some songs, man. Old Trent Jones.
Beat up from
Trent Worthington Jones. That's his middle name.
Worthington.
Trent.
He should be at that Orvis.
Worthington Jones.
Trent Worthington Orvis.
That guy's hilarious, man. Oh.
What else would you need? What else you got in your car for steelhead fishing?
Change of clothes in case I fall in.
TP? Or Imodium? I go Imodium.
TP. Let's see. Have I ever had toilet paper? I have had toilet paper in my vehicle before.
It's not fun dropping trout in steelhead weather.
No, I don't know that. I don't know that I've ever.
We're close enough.
I've some trout fishing, I've done it. I mean, yeah. I've done it on some trout fishing, but usually the steelhead's pretty close to urban
Yeah.
centers.
The Cleveland ones, I'm like, I'm going to go get a Chipotle burrito.
Yeah.
And it's like 2.5 miles at the most.
It's not bad. The Cleveland ones are pretty convenient.
It's nuts.
Oh, no.
I can't imagine if we had that like here.
My routine was this, man. My routine was like, I lived like on the Rocky, basically. And I would go down the road, I'd swing in the Blackbird Bakery. Okay. Blackbird Bakery is on Detroit Road in Rocky River, on the border of Rocky River in Lakewood, Ohio. And that's where you go in. It's right above the Emerald Necklace Marina. And you go in there, you get your coffee in the morning, get yourself a pastry, get the one with the peanut butter and jelly jam croissant thing. Oh, it's just ridiculous. And then, and you fish all day, right? And then you drive back up the road and you go and go to Melt and get yourself a grilled cheese sandwich that has a pierogi and some sausage on it and some sauerkraut.
A grilled cheese with a pierogi in it?
Yeah, grilled cheese with a pierogi.
It's very Cleveland.
And some like Polish boy style sausage and some sauerkraut and some mustard and oh god, it's just amazing.
And I'm sure that's like a $2.50 sandwich.
Yeah, it's like not expensive.
Down here that'd be like $18.95.
Yeah. Like a pile of fries, like this big, just tons of fries. Good malt vinegar on there, and you're out of there for probably $10 or something. I don't know. I mean,
I still miss the What About Bob's that was on the Chagrin River.
Yeah. The other one. Now, if you're fishing the Chagrin, there's a sandwich shop over there. That's called. Oh, give me a second, man. It's like a Jewish spot, and they got some of the best corned beef.
When I was fishing,
good. I can't think of it.
All right, I'm looking for your name, buddy. We fished together a couple years ago. He said Schwitz Cafe was the place to go in Cleveland.
Schwitz Cafe. Where did he say that was? That's not
somewhere in Cleveland. I'm totally blanking on his name.
You sure it wasn't Schleiman's?
No, Schwitz. I know it. I mean, I know a good Yiddish name when I hear it.
There's some good ones, man. Some good corned beef there.
Corned beef.
Yeah, the Cleveland.
Pastrami is the most sensuous of meats.
Yeah, that's good.
I think that was the term.
Making me hungry again. I think
we have ice cream.
I think that the food part and the people part is the best part about the steelhead fishing.
It is fun. You just meet so many random people from different places.
I really cannot stand the haters, the people that cry and complain and whine about the pressure, because like there's nothing you can do about it. Like, I mean, there's just a million people there. It's like the Burning Man of fishing. Yeah. You know what I mean? And
netting each other's fish, sharing drinks.
Exactly. I mean, everybody's got food. Somebody's telling stories of the olden days, and it's just wonderful.
Good camaraderie.
It's like a festival, man. It's a festival of life.
Yeah. Should someone hire a guide their first time? Like, let's say you're driving up from Kansas, and you want to go steelhead fishing.
I think it would be a good idea.
Like first day, so you learn how to read the water.
Absolutely. I think usually Great Lake steelhead fishing now, like the trend. I know I have a lot of buddies that are still steelhead guides back at home. Trend now is like this. There's a lot of private water stuff going on. Are you wearing Dr. Jones? Nice.
He's like my shawl.
As a shawl.
He'll sit like this on my shoulders all night.
Yeah, there's a lot of private water stuff going on now. Not so much in Ohio that I've seen. I guess in some places on Conneaut, but especially in Pennsylvania, man. Like Elk Creek is
beavers buying it.
Yeah. It's getting all bought up by people, and those people are now leasing that water to the guides for a fee to take the client on for whatever. But that's probably a good way to do it. Get yourself a guide. There's a lot of great, steelhead guides out there. Because it is weird. It is foreign. like for people, because if you've ever trout fished or done any other kind of fly fishing, you're usually not accustomed to dealing with all that weight.
It's a different,
and
completely different, like I wouldn't say learning curve, but just style.
Yeah, it's very strange. It's very foreign. You don't see it. I guess it's kind of like trout fishing, like nymphing for a trout a lot of times, or swinging flies for trout. But the thing is, you're just using so much more weight, and the fish are not in the same places. Like the reading the water part, I think, is the most difficult for people. Like so many times do I see people like standing in this fast runs, with water that's moving extremely quickly, and they're throwing in little pockets and little buckets, and I'm just like, dude, there's no way that
Who
there's
wants
a
to
fish.
sit in that water?
There's no way that there's a fish sitting there. Now, if it was a trout stream, there would be a fish possibly there, because that's where the food is. But these fish are not like that. I mean, I think that I find the most steelhead in kind of a waist high walking speed water, or deeper. It's pretty slow. It's pretty slow moving water. They crash through all that fast stuff, and they expend a lot of energy trying to get over it, and and then they stop off into the slower stuff, and they hang out for a while until the next period where the water comes up or whatever, and then they continue upstream.
Speaking of water speed, you want to give out that website again?
The USGS. What? River Boss. Yeah, buddy. Riverboss.com. Yeah, that's a great website, and it's riverboss.com. And let's go to it real quick. They've actually,
if that hurricane had come up, it looks like it's going to make a loop-de-loop, but imagine if Matthew went over us, turned a tropical depression, and just dumped on the Great Lakes.
Oh, man.
Fish would be flying up there. So the fish, they're looking for water events.
I think so.
They don't want to scrape their belly on gravel.
When
they don't want the skinny water.
Are you talking about when they move into the lake? Because I have theories about when they move from the lake to the river.
Let's talk about it.
So, and again, I'm not a biologist, but
you just play one on TV.
I just play one on TV. I really have noticed a few trends that a couple guys from Ohio got me onto. Turnpike Walt actually was one of them, and another guy, Craig, who owns. He's got fly fishing stuff there too, but he does more center pin and more open face spin stuff, and he caters to the guys that do the walleye fishing. His name's Craig, and he owns Erie Outfitters, great little shop. If you're in Avon Lake, Sheffield area or whatever, you swing by, talk to him. He knows the waters really well.
Have you ever seen a weirder dog?
Mm-mm.
Look where he's sitting.
Jones is pretty strange. Yeah, River Boss, man. So
you finally load. So we were supposed to have a cell phone tower in this neighborhood, and the previous residents of this house were the ones that were the main veto. Like her license plate was like no cell towers. That's why we had the worst reception here.
Really,
it is terrible.
Why don't we go through this right now and let's
what streams are on there?
Yeah, let's see.
Today is 5th of October, I believe. My brother had his birthday yesterday. Dr. Jones. Dr. Jones went steelhead fishing once.
Hey, buddy. Did he?
Let him in the bar, the Altmar Hotel one night. We got 49 inches of snow in one day.
I wonder if this is actually right. So, okay, so the first one on this list for if you click on region, if you click on Steelhead Alley, if you go to riverboss.com and you click on Steelhead Alley, you will find a list of a bunch of different rivers, and what CFS they're at and what the conditions are at. So,
cubic feet per second.
Yeah, CFS, cubic feet per second. The Black River is the first one on there, which is...
I don't know the Black.
Yeah, the Black's on the west side of Ohio. It's Sheffield Village, Vermilion area.
Is that the Vermilion River also?
Nope.
So that's a crazy misnomer.
Yeah.
Vermilion's east.
Vermilion is...
Is that towards...
Vermilion's west. Vermilion's west.
West?
Yeah, Vermilion's west.
Okay.
The black is... it's out by the Backpacker Shop, which is one of the better fly shops in that area. There's 2 good Orvis stores in Cleveland now, and the Backpacker Shop and Chagrin River Outfitters, all good shops. They don't stock the black, but the black gets a lot of stray fish. The Black River, if you're in Ohio, it's kind of neat. It's going to be one of the least pressured of all the rivers out there because they don't stock it. And access is there's some access, but it's limited. I would tell you to go into the Backpacker Shop and buy some flies and bribe those guys with a 6-pack and tell you where to go.
Don't bring Art a 6-pack of IPA. I learned that. It sat there for months. I ended up taking it home.
Yeah, I don't drink IPA. Brandy Run is the next on the list. Brandy Run is actually, I believe it's a tributary of Elk.
These are all great DJ names.
That's the...
I'm Brandy Run. I'm Steelhead Alley. Catching you live every day from 3 to 7.
So the black, it says it's at 22 CFS, which I'm not even sure if that's accurate, but it's too low to fish. Let's just put it this way. Brandy 1, it says it's at 1 CFS and going
What would
up.
be optimal for that one?
What, for the black?
For Miss Brandy?
So Brandy Run is the gauge that you would check at elk. So usually Brandy Run, I would say anything below 10 CFS is good. But that doesn't, you got to realize, that doesn't reflect Elk Creek itself. That's just where the gauge is there, is on Brandy Run. Cattaraugus Creek, there's a couple other small ones on here like Buffalo Creek. Cattaraugus Creek, which is one of the larger tributaries on the Great Lakes, and that's
where Dan's wife was fishing Prego.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's one of my favorites. I think it's
very Prego.
I think it's gorgeous there. I absolutely love it. That's one of the better. If you're a two-handed fisherman, you'll appreciate the cat. That's at 110 CFS, which is extremely low for that stream. Let's see. You got the Chagrin River, which is at 72 CFS, extremely low. I like to fish the Chagrin and streams like the Chagrin and the Rocky, which are kind of medium-sized tributaries. Those guys, I think, fish best between like 180 and 300.
Don't backcast over the flaming pipes that stick out of the river.
Flaming pipes?
There's like pipes that come out of the river with flames on them.
On which river?
The Chagrin. Like right in downtown Chagrin Falls.
No.
Like natural gas something.
I'm trying to think of where
I was
that
warming
is.
my hands up on it.
Really?
It was like a chimney coming out of the river.
Yeah.
It was so weird. People were lighting their cigarettes on it. I think every time you think you've seen it all, then there's like just a pipe with a flame coming out of it.
Best game in town right now, it looks like the Cuyahoga. Flowing at 385. Pretty good shape. A little on the low side. That's also a great swinging water stream.
We've got it kind of easy now. We can just pop up on our phone.
I know,
and be
man.
Like, this is where I'm going tomorrow.
I know. It's amazing, isn't it? Used to be, I remember back in the day, I mean, you didn't know what the river was going to look like until you went and looked at it. You know, you'd get up in the morning and you get all excited.
Drive over
couldn't
there,
sleep the night before and you're all planning it out. And, you know, I remember, man, I'd be up until like 2 in the morning organizing fly boxes and tying flies and building leaders and checking equipment and getting ready. Like, I'm so excited, I'm going to go fishing, you know, and then you get to the river and it's blown out. And you're just like, damn, you know, what am I to do now?
Go watch Saturday cartoons.
Yeah. Exactly.
What else? I mean, covered is about everything. Wading jackets? Like,
yeah, I always wear a wading jacket.
Waterproof? Do you like down? Do you like puff? Do you like...
So I do, in the super cold months, right? And when I mean like super cold, I mean like the kind of cold that unless you're from that area, you are not going to be outside in there, you know. But, you know, I mean, I've gone fishing for steelhead in 15, 16, 17 degree weather. Down, I really like Down. You know, they have all this great Prima Loft now, and it's great because, like, if it gets wet, it still is warm, but I really think the Down is I still like the Down.
My Cask Gear puff jacket, it's when Colby's
Cass makes good stuff.
Colby's like, dude, it's hurricane proof, and I bought it, and I was underneath. It was the Healing Waters tournament, and I'm talking to Flip Pallet, and I'm standing where the water's coming off the tent, and it's onto me, and he's like, "Why are you standing there?" And I'm like, "Well, my jacket's not getting wet on the inside." He's like, "What jacket is that?" I'm like, "It's Cask Gear." He's like, "Yeah, most jackets don't do that." Like a puff-filled jacket.
Yeah, I have a pair of their gloves. They're really nice. But I don't wear them because they're
full finger.
They're full fingered.
Yeah. But like if I'm
I feel like they missed the mark there.
If I got to do clear the yard or something,
yeah, I'll wear those cast gloves. That's what I do.
Yep.
They make great stuff.
Yeah, Colby. That's a big dude, man. I don't know if Colby's like a bar fight guy, but if I had him with me at a bar, I'd feel much more safe out in Idaho. I mean, there's big dudes, and then there's Colby. Like, that dude is big.
Yeah, what I'll do, like, is I'll wear the down jacket, and then I put the wading jacket over it.
There you go.
You know, that's kind of what I do
layer.
to keep it, just layer it up, you know. So, like, on the worst day of my life, it'll be, 15 degrees and -5 with the wind chill, and I'll have on a merino base layer and like a merino full zip second layer up to my neck, and I'll have on a down jacket like a 350 or 380 fill, and then I'll put the wading jacket over that in case it rains with the hood up, fingerless barber gloves, and and I'm off to the races, man, looking like a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
But you're comfortable,
and
if you're not warm, you're not going to enjoy your day out there.
No,
if I'm driving like 7 hours.
Yeah,
I want to enjoy my day. Now, what about boots being bigger than your foot?
Yeah, there's a lot of talk of that. Good one. So, I don't really see it, right? Like I wear size 10 and a half, 11 shoe. So I buy size 12 wading boots. I've always done that, regardless. But I always found like Orvis boots. And I've had Sims boots, and I've had some Patagonias in the past, too. And they all, to me, like, wading boots always seem like they're bigger than your shoe size anyway. I don't really believe in it, and here's why. Like, I think that you need to get whatever wading boot fits with a heavy sock. That's how I think you should shop for wading boots. When I have customers, I probably sell more wading boots than anybody in the D.C. area. When they come in...
because people here have more feet.
But, when they come in, what I do is I put them on a neoprene bootie, and I have them put on a really thick wading sock. And if I can get the boot to fit, then we're good.
So that's a note. If you're going to go try on waders and boots, bring the sock you're going to go fishing with.
Absolutely, man.
It's like, skiing,
Sure.
When my wife goes to buy ski boots...
Sure.
Hopefully she doesn't do it too often. I don't know. She sees what I spend on fishing. I don't see what she spends on skiing. I got no idea what her damage is. She'll be like, I got new Rossies for the year. And I'm like, what's a Rossi?
Yeah, right.
Isn't that like a cognac? And she keeps it in Colorado, so I never even see her gear.
Oh, she's got it stashed somewhere?
In my in-laws' house.
Oh.
Yeah, it's all there. I have a net I found that I keep there.
You should stash your fly equipment at my house.
I always said, if you want to bring a 4-piece rod home and your wife doesn't know, you get a baguette bag from Giant. The red, white, and blue paper.
Yeah.
Sneak those into your house. Honey, I got the food. She just sees the time, but she didn't see I got 500 or 600 beads in the mail today.
Oh, really?
I'll show this to you, yeah.
Alibaba?
Oh, I should, dude. They're 2 cents each on Alibaba.
You love that stuff, don't you?
Yeah. Jack Ma. Hey-o. We're still here. You want to come by for McAllen?
Well, when Gary gets here, maybe I can.
Okay.
Depending on what's going on.
You want me to bring you one right now?
twisted my arm.
All right, hold on. Make something up. Oh my god. Tell a story.
Tell a story. Oh,
All right, you loud now.
tell a story. So I got a story. I got a story. One of my favorite Steelhead stories, and I can't really remember if I've told this on the first podcast that we did or not, but one of my favorite Steelhead stories was there was a guy who was center pinning. And
center pinning?
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
that's crossing over, man.
There was a guy that was center pinning, and you tell me if I told this on the last podcast.
I don't know.
But I remember I walked down to the river, and
He thinks the screen door's closed.
oh,
He'll stand there.
really?
I can go there. Watch. I'll pretend to open the screen door, and he'll come in. That's how dumb. No, he figured it out.
Oh,
The other day, I had to pretend to open the screen door, and then he came in.
So anyway, so I'm down on the river. This was on the east branch of the Chagrin, actually. And I used to go there before work when I used to work at the fly shop in Cleveland. And
How awesome is that you could just be like, hey, I'm just going to go steelhead fishing before work. For me, it's like...
well, I used to live on the west side. So I would fish the Chagrin in the mornings before work, and then I'd go fish the Rocky in the evenings after work.
I can't
On the way
imagine.
home.
Steelhead for me is like 1 week a year.
Yeah.
Are you going to be back up there for Christmas time?
I might. Yeah, I'm looking at it. I might go up there for Christmas time this year. Are you going to go?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. We're going to plan something fun.
Yeah, let's do it.
I want to go eat a pierogi sandwich.
Yeah, we'll go to Melt, And there's still plenty of fish to catch there in the winter, Not as many as in the spring.
Matt.
But.
That's the guy I fish with. Matt Becca. Just popped out. I met him. He's from somewhere else. Sorry, Matt. I forgot where you're from. Even if you're listening.
So here's the story. So I go down to the river, and I see two guys fishing. And one's got a center pin rod, and one's got a spay, right? One guy's at the top of the run, one guy's at the bottom. And I kind of just stop, and I'm just watching him. The one guy on the center pin lands a fish. And lands fish, puts the fish back. I'm watching the spay guy, because I was thinking about, letting him... I was kind of wanting to fish where he was. And both of those guys were, quickly moving down. I kind of wanted to jump in because I had to go to work in, an hour. So that's really the only run I could fish. I couldn't walk up to the next one. So I'm watching, and they're going down.
Pobrecito.
Yeah, they're going down. And the center pin guy catches another fish. I'm like, oh, nice. There's some fish stacked up in there. Sweet. And the spay guy, right, he, starts tramping out of the water, and, he's all pissed off. And first of all, the pin guy's above him. So he's catching fish behind him, behind the spay guy. And the guy gets up onto the shore where I'm at, and he's like, oh, that fucking, live bait, they're blah, 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 pin, doing his whole routine, And I'm like, oh, yeah. I'm like, are you done? Are you going to jump back in, or do you mind if I... And he's like, no, I'm done with that asshole in there, or whatever, And so... he goes back to his car, and I get down in the water finally, and I go over towards the pin guy. I'm like, hey, I see you're working down. I only got about a half an hour. Do you mind if I swing through, behind you or whatever? And he's like, no, go ahead. Nice guy. I'm swinging through, and he says, hey, the center pinner. He goes, hey, I heard that guy up there sound like he was pretty pissed at me. And I was like, yeah, you know how people are or whatever. He's like, hey, let me show you something. And I'm like, oh, what? And he's like, yeah, come here. Let me show you something. I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm like, here we go, And shit, so I walk down. and he picks up his float, and he's got a fucking woolly bugger and a black stonefly under there. So he's using flies to do it, and just goes to show, right? It has nothing to do with. It's all about like the presentation, So this pin guy was throwing flies on his pin and getting a drag-free jiff because he knew what he was doing, but he wasn't using live bait. So maybe not the greatest story in the world, but I always remember it.
Right. One last word of wisdom. Let's go tie a fly after this. What's the one thing you have? How about this? If you could have one superpower to use as an angler, what would it be?
Ooh.
Of any of the superpower peoples.
All the superpowers. If I could have any superpower as an angler. That's
Wolverine, cut your tippet.
Cut your tippet, Wolverine, huh? I don't know, man. Like Aquaman, I would like to be Aquaman. I'd like to be able to kind of like swim down into the holes at Fletcher's and figure out where all those big stripers are.
I can imagine what's down there.
Breathe underwater and and swim down in there and find out.
I think
I was gonna say I think Alex Binstead might be Aquaman.
Does wear a lot of green.
He kind of looks like Aquaman.
All right, let's go tie a fly.
All right, let's go tie a fly.
Thank you for joining us for the Fly Fishing Consultant Podcast. For more information or to contact Rob, please go to www.robsnowhite.com.